Welcome to today's session. Today we are going to be talking about achievements in Chapter Excellence, also known as the ACE program. So before we start, as usual, I am going to record this session and I will share that recording along with any materials with you later today or early tomorrow. Just a disclaimer, AI tools may be used throughout the webinar series and/or LEAD. All right, so quick check-in. We got 40 days until LEAD. Can you believe it? It is quickly approaching. I'm getting very excited. And as always, I want to do a little shout out at the end of each webinar. We ask that the attendees submit a question or challenge that they've been facing. So I want to do a shout out to the two areas with the highest number of submissions, and that is Area 4 and Area 7. So thank you all. That definitely helps us shape either these webinars, LEAD sessions, or just how we can support you in the future. And if you forgot, that's okay. You always have next week. All right, so before we start jumping into ACE, I do want to just share two quick updates for you. So the first one being, I will be creating new Zoom meetings for each of the remaining webinars. So on June 23rd, that's going to be the first NCC meeting of the 26-27 program year. So some of you had stated that you were attending LEAD in place of your NCC representatives. So you definitely need to attend that meeting. Okay. The second one is going to be the Know Before You Attend meeting. I'm sure everyone will want to be there for that. I will manually register all LEAD attendees for both of these webinars, so please stay tuned. You should see a confirmation email from Zoom relatively soon after today's webinar. So again, those meeting join links will be different. And then the other update for you is just about the LEAD hotel confirmations. Those are going to be sent out to you in early July, and that's going to be sent to the email addresses that you provided on that form. Any questions before I move on? All right, let's keep it going. So like I said, today we're going to be focusing on understanding the achievements of Chapter Excellence program, along with reporting requirements and documentation. So unlike a lot of the other webinars that we've had, today I'm going to do a lot of talking, okay? Just to kind of thoroughly go through everything. So I know some of you have been chapter leaders before. Perhaps you have some experience with ACE. If so, feel free to raise your hand at any point and chime in, maybe give tips, tricks, whatever that looks like. Vice versa, if ACE is completely new to you, again, feel free to interrupt me at any time, whether that's in the chat or raising your hand to ask a question. I'm here to help. All right. All right, so we'll get it started by just kind of talking about what ACE is. It is a chapter of recognition program, and it's to recognize the accomplishments of your chapters that you have throughout each program year. So we encourage you to share your work and be honored at the annual PDT award ceremony. Note this year, that award ceremony is actually going to take place at LEAD. So that's very, very exciting. The program also supports AGA's mission in providing flexible guidelines for well-rounded chapter development. And it really is here to celebrate the efforts of your chapter's executive committee, or the CEC. It is not meant to feel like extra work, okay? It's just supposed to serve as a checklist of items, things that chapters should already be doing. All right, so here's kind of my ACE program year overview, a little calendar here. And this is talking about the 26-27 program year. So we will start in July. That's when that program year starts, July 1. And then you kind of go through all the way to June of next year, 2027. And I'll kind of go through this a little bit more in depth in a minute. All right, and then finally we have the ACE reporting chair. So that is a CEC role that is very valuable, and it definitely offers all of you and all things chapters. This person is definitely in charge of submitting ACE requirements, kind of making sure that the CEC comes together to discuss the different ACE requirements as well. Kind of gathering all that information and submitting it to AGA National. Now, this person can just be an ACE reporting chair, or perhaps they're ACE reporting chair along with something else. That is totally fine. That's up to the discretion of the chapter. I would say if your chapter has not participated in the ACE program previously, I would recommend that the person in the ACE reporting chair role, that is their only role. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the achievement criteria and the awards. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to, instead of going through this slideshow, I'm going to actually show you what the ACE recording template looks like. Okay, so here we go. I think you should be able to see this. Oops. That's okay. All right, so this first page, this is the ACE recording template, okay? And this is a resource that we provide you guys to help understand ACE requirements and track your chapter's progress. So I'm just gonna kind of go through it and notes and things. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or write in the chat. So starting off, you kind of have this general information tab right here. Okay, it gives you, how do you submit things, maybe a mini checklist, links to resources, frequently asked questions, who to contact if you need anything. Like how it sounds, a general overview. In these blue boxes, those are links to the things inside. So, general overview page here. Then we have our deadline tracker and pulse checks. This kind of indicates when the pulse checks are. So essentially what it is it's just like a list of all of the different deadlines in order, okay, for you to be able to use as a tool to track. All right, so now kind of getting into the meat of it, of the ACE program. The first thing we have here is our chapter affiliation requirements. So chapter affiliation requirements are baseline items that every chapter must complete to be considered an active AGA chapter. So on this page, these are things that you should be doing as a chapter already. Okay, I'm not going to read all of them to you, but I just kind of wanted to show you what it looks like. You've got what the requirement is, its deadline, in the purple column, whether or not there are applicable bonus points, some resources, and how do you submit that requirement. Okay, and you can use these last three columns to kind of track what you've submitted, what dates you've submitted, how many points you could earn, etc. If you would like. Okay, so notice there are only 4 bonus point opportunities here. Okay, and that's the only way that you would receive points on this page, is by completing the bonus point requirements. So for example, electing and submitting a chapter officer. If you submit that to us before or by June 15th, you would receive bonus points. Now, if you submit it to us after June 15th, you're not going to receive any points because, again, that's something that your chapter should be doing each year. All right, so to play off the chapter affiliation requirements, I also created this pink resources tab, and that connects directly with the chapter affiliation requirements. And what that does is just kind of it gives a more detailed description of what that requirement is asking for. I also added this column to the end. If you have any questions about that specific requirement, it tells you who you should contact. So that's just there for you to have some more resources for each requirement. And then in this green tab, you have the 2026-2027 CEC roster submission spreadsheet. Okay, the directions are along the left side here. And again, that's that chapter affiliation requirement. So if you were to click, it'll take you straight to that spreadsheet. Okay. All right, so that is our chapter affiliation requirements. Again, things you should be doing already. Then we're going to move over to our key performance indicators, okay? In regards to the ACE program and getting points, key performance indicators is where you're going to get a bulk of your points, okay? So how does this work? I know there's a lot going on this page. There's a lot of color here, okay? So of course we have our objectives, which, are in this column right here. And then we have 3 different tiers. So you must complete tier 1 before you progress to tier 2. And then you must complete tiers 1 and 2 before you progress to tier 3. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. For example, let's see, training events, right? You must provide, the chapter provides or co-sponsors at least 1 CPE opportunity per year for member education. So if you do that, then you would receive 100 points because that falls within tier 1. Now, if you do that and you also offer a CPE opportunity in multiple formats, so both of those, then you would receive 300 points, okay? Because you have now moved to the next tier, and then so on and so forth. So all of that to say, the tier points are not cumulative. You can earn either 100, 300, or 500 points by the final May 1 deadline, okay? Now, you'll also notice on this page that there are bonus opportunities for a very decent amount of the key performance indicators. So that is if you complete these requirements. So for example, the chapter exceeds 15% annual membership growth, you would gain bonus points in addition to any tier points that you have. All right, so I'm going to pause right there. I know, again, a lot of talking. I want to see if anyone has any questions. All right. Perfect. So for example, let's just to show you visually, for the KPI number 1, let's say you achieve tier 2. So you would type in 300 here. Let's say you did earn those, well, in this case, you wouldn't earn those bonus points. So say you did the same thing here. Oh, that's not a good example, sorry. Let's say here you got 500 points, and then the additional bonus points, your total for KPI number 7 would be 600. Okay, and then it will all add up down here at the bottom. Now, some of you might be wondering, how are the ACE points scored in total? So how that works is you're going to take your total number of points from your key performance indicators. So that's your tier points as well as your bonus points, give you your total. You're going to also add that with any bonus points that you earned from the chapter affiliation requirements. And that is going to give you your total number of points. Okay. All right, so the last tab you'll see on the bottom here is an orange tab, and that is associated with this membership growth KPI here. So here is the membership growth tab. Basically what you would do is you would find your chapter. I've already inputted your baseline data for May of 2026. And what you're going to do is compare that to the end of the year, right? Let's say our Atlanta chapter, at the end of the year, we have 185 members, right? Let's put that there. So I have 185. Now I'm going to come over here and see which tier that number fell in. And in this case, that would fall in tier 3. So I would go back to my key performance indicator page and give myself 500 points since that fell within tier 3. All right. All right, so that is the data recording, or the recording template, excuse me. So now I'm going to kind of shift over to the website. Excuse me. How do you submit ACE on the website? So of course, you're going to start off, and you're going to start off by going to Chapter Resources, our favorite page. And once you get to Chapter Resources, you're going to scroll down and you'll see Achievements of Chapter Excellence, and you're going to expand that here. Okay. The two buttons that we're going to focus on is the data recording form and the chapter pulse check. So starting off with the data recording form. A few things to note. So that's kind of what it looks like after you click it. The data recording form is going to be used to update your chapter affiliation requirements as well as your key performance indicators. So that's how you're going to tell AGA National where your progress is at, similar to that ACE recording spreadsheet. Excuse me. So kind of looking here, if you have an incomplete requirement, so for example, mine requirement 2 is incomplete. And how do I know that? That is because there is this blue button here. And that means that I can upload a document. So if you click on it, okay, if you click on it, it will tell you the requirement you're looking at, have your name and chapter, tell you whether or not you need to upload a file and then submit it. Okay, and then when you're done, you can go back to the ACE data recording form. Now you give it about 5 minutes or so. And once the requirement is officially submitted, you'll see the word completed over here. Okay, and if there's any bonus points, that will also show up. So for example, right here, I submitted this before the deadline, so bonus points show up. Now, let's say you need to make a change to your submission. So you uploaded your bylaws in September, but you actually revised them in January and want to re-upload them to ACE. What you're going to do is this orange button is going to be below right here. And I'll kind of show you a picture of that. I think I have one. Let's see. Oh no. Bear with me. Here we go. All right. Kind of like that. All right. This is kind of what the vision looks like in the future. So if you have submitted a requirement, it'll say completed. It'll show you the bonus points. And then there will be a button below for you to request changes. So if you did want to upload your new bylaws, you would just submit the request changes button and we get you to do that. All right. Now, one important thing to note here is that changes to submitted requirements can only be made on the data recording form. Okay. All right, so this is our chapter affiliation requirements. Then you want to hover over to key performance indicators. And it looks fairly the same, right? You have the goal, tells you the different tiers, whether or not there is a bonus point opportunity. So here you can see for goal 1, I completed that. The tier I submitted was 500 points, and I also received 100 bonus points. And then this blue button should go away. It's hard to show on my end because I'm kind of like the back end user, but on your side, that blue button should go away and it'll be replaced with a request any changes. All right, now let's say here, for example, excuse me, I have not submitted anything for goal 4. So I would click on that. Okay. Tells me that I'm talking about a key performance indicator. Then I'm going to select which tier I have. Okay. Click below to affirm, and then you would submit. Okay, and then when you went back to your ACE data recording form, it should, in a few minutes, this would change to completed, and that button would go away and be replaced with an orange one. Any questions here about the data recording form? All right. Now, the second piece I want to talk about is the chapter pulse check. So, what are chapter pulse checks? They are progress check-ins to highlight chapter successes and identify areas for needing additional support. So, what this page kind of is it's a comprehensive overview of everything that you have submitted thus far for ACE in the program year. Okay, and it kind of like just shows you, okay, I've completed X, Y, and Z, but I still need to do ABC. So here's kind of what it looks like, the pulse check page. It'll show your chapter, make sure you're in the right chapter. It gives you a range of points and the associated status, and then it tells you what your current ACE status is. And then below, it'll tell you your total bonus points, total tier points, and total overall points. Okay, and these numbers are pulled from both the key performance indicators and chapter affiliation points. So you again would go down, right? This is on key performance indicators. It tells you completed this goal, tells you what status or what tier you picked, how many points you earned, and whether or not you received any bonus points. Okay, so that's what I mean by like comprehensive overview here. Now, if you did not submit something, it'll be blank like this one. And then same thing, if you went to the chapter affiliation requirements side, it would say the same things. Now, again, I'd like to stress that this page is not for resubmitting any documents or changing your tier or anything like that. Okay, this page is simply for you to view it, the overview of where your chapter is standing. Say to yourself, okay, that matches the records that we have on file. And then you press submit. That's it. This page is solely to just submit your pulse check. Okay. And then what happens is come May 1, I will pull the data of these pulse checks and use that to help score our ACE awards. All right. I know it was a lot of information. Does anyone have any questions? Just gonna go down. All right. So like I said, the pulse checks are especially important in May, as that's the time that I use them to score the ACE awards. Okay, and again, that is just a page where your only action is to submit the pulse check. Look over everything, make sure it matches your records, and then press submit. And that's it. Okay. All right. Now, one thing I just realized is I did not cover, but I should, is who has access to those pages, right? Who has access to the website, to the data recording form and the pulse checks page? And that is going to be chapter presidents and chapter ACE chairs. Okay, those are the only two of individuals that have access to those two pages. All right, so some things to keep in mind, some best practices. Keep track of your points. Like I showed you before, our website does keep track of your points for you, but I think we all know that technology isn't always the best. So we do recommend that you keep an internal record of your points. And, to make it easy, use the ACE recording template. If you hate the ACE recording template, want to use something else, that's totally fine as well. Okay. So like I said, those templates are optional. So if your chapter has a template or a resource that they've used for ACE and you're like, this is really amazing, it simplified everything, please share it with us. Our goal is to, keep reflecting and making improvements to the ACE program. All right. And one final thing here is just submitting the chapter executive committee CEC roster. So that deadline is approaching quickly. The final deadline for that is June 30th. So I have that up here, the different steps. So there is a spreadsheet specifically for the 26-27 CEC roster. Again, you can copy that from the ACE recording sheet, whatever works. You're going to fill that out. You'll need people's first and last name, their AGA ID, and their position. If you don't know their AGA ID, you can find it on your membership report. Then you're going to send the completed spreadsheet to chapters@agacgfm.org, aka me. Excuse me. And if you want bonus points, you're going to send that over by June 15th. If you don't want bonus points, please send it a little later than July 1. And then I kind of put a little email template there to help you with your submission, if you want. Okay. And then for ACE credit, you're going to upload your completed roster to your chapter's data recording form, which is tentatively scheduled to go live on June 26th. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is if you came over here, oops, um, we're hoping that by June 26th, this would totally refresh. So every requirement, you would show a blue button and nothing would say complete. Okay. Um, Now, one thing I do want to note about submitting a CEC roster is that if you send me your chapter CEC roster on June 11th, and then August 15th, you have changes to your roster, that's totally fine. You just send me an email and you say, hey, this person is stepping into this role, and I will make those changes in our system. We just ask that the first initial roster is sent to us in that spreadsheet. It may help really streamline the system and the process. Excuse me. All right. All right. So again, I just want to pause, make sure we don't have any questions. Okay, I see one. Dan's question was, if your chapter does not have an ACE reporting officer position filled, could you have another CEC member access the website in addition to the president? So yes and no, Dan. Yes, so let's say, you are the membership chair and you are going to um, help with the ACE reporting for a few months. You're just going to email us and say that you also would like to have the ACE reporting position in addition to the membership position. So that way you can access the website. So the way the website works is it's like sees your profile, sees if you have an associated leadership position, whether or not one of those is president or ACE chair, and then it allows you access. Awesome. Great question, Dan. Any other questions? All right. Oh, Donna, that's a great idea. So Donna said that their president-elect is automatically their ACE polls check chair so that they become more familiar with the requirements before they become president. That is a really great idea. Um, Thank you for sharing, Donna. Yes, Jeff said, will you remind me where these slides are available? And I will go ahead and show you. So I have it here. I have this page bookmarked, but on the lead page, which is going to be linked in my follow-up email, if you scroll down here, you have all the webinars and the recording and the slides. And today's should be available within the next few hours. Great question, Jeff. Of course. All right, love to see it. And if you don't have a question now, maybe it's later when you're reviewing the recording sheet or handbook, feel free to ask. I'm here now. All right. So that is all I have for today in regards to ACE. Now, I wanted to ask if everyone could please submit a new question or challenge they would like us to discuss. That could be in the webinars or at LEAD, or maybe just in the next program year. One thing I want to note is that we are hoping to do a panel at LEAD around the topic of sponsors and how do you obtain sponsorships, why are they helpful, etc. So if you can't think of maybe a question or a challenge that you want to discuss, maybe you have a question that you'd like to submit surrounding the topic of sponsors that I can pass over to that panel for LEAD. So all options there. Maybe you want to hear about something else. You can submit that as well. It's just very helpful for us to see that. And then last but not least, also I dropped a link in the chat for the webinar, the submission questions. And then in 2 weeks, I will see you again for the first National Council of Chapters NCC representative meeting. That is going to be on June 23rd. It's going to be at the same time, 2 to 3 p.m. Now, I am going to send you a new Zoom link today, excuse me, for that session, as well as the note before you attend. All righty. And that is all I have for you. So thank you guys again for joining us. I'll be sure to follow up with links to all of these resources. And if you have any questions, just give me a shout. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.